What is your take or mind about the background of a young man?
It would shape a man or a boy, but not necessarily define them entirely.
How are you, Tony?
Wonderful, sir.
You're good?
Blessed and not breaking.
You're welcome to the Boys Network International.
Thank you.
This is, I think, our first episode, and we just want to have a quick conversation about something that should start some sort of discussions in the community about young boys. So my name is Samuel Amutuhaire, and I'm your host today. And I want to say that you are welcome to the Boys Network, whoever is watching. I have a very interesting young man who is going to introduce himself, and probably that will explain why he is the guest of this episode. So Mr. A, please introduce yourself to the people. Tell them who you are, what you do, and why.
And why? Thank you very much, Sam. My name is Anthony Mukambya Lulle. I am a husband of one woman, and we are blessed with several sons, at least 3 in the making. 1 in the making, yeah. I do donor relations. I do monitoring and evaluation and fundraising. For the largest part of my life, I think that's what I do. I also minister with Fanero.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you want to give a shout out to your wife?
The best, the first and the last, the woman of God, Mercy Mukambya. Peace.
Yeah.
I love you.
The Boys Network celebrates you, ma'am.
Yes.
Anyway, so today we want to talk about, it's the Boys Network, and the Boys Network is about, it's a mentorship-driven organization or program that really focuses on giving young boys a spiritual foundation, character, and having conversations around leadership, for a young man, so that they can grow to appreciate why it is important to carry the understanding of a man and how that helps you to evolve to become a better citizen, a better minister of God, a better father, husband, etc. So I'm having this conversation with him because he, 1, is a man, but 2, he is a father of a boy. And as a man raising a young man, with your wife, of course, I believe there's so much that this conversation is going to allow us to speak about in the few minutes that we have, for us to appreciate and help some young man there.
Hopefully.
And the question is, does the background of a young man really define how far he goes? Does a young man's self-belief, all self-limiting beliefs affect them, how they are raised by their parents, etc., etc.? What is your take or mind about the background of a young man?
Thank you, Sam. It's quite a deep question, pretty broad, and I do not know if the time that we have is actually adequate to,
We'll have part 2 in future.
Nonetheless, I would want to potentially start by saying that the concept of background largely the long and short should be that it would shape a man or a boy, but not necessarily define them entirely. But it is important to understand that I want to potentially liken it to, let's say, a plant. This very plant that you got a pot, put some soil, and then planted. If it was a seed, you decided to water it. There are certain conditions that soil has, the oxygen, the water, and the soil itself, and the nutrients therein, that allow this plant to sprout a certain way. Depending on the quality of those conditions, you might have a certain quality of plant that comes up. However, there are also factors that when that plant has come up, you might find, let's say, a tree that was maybe some sort of shade that sort of inhibits the amount of sunlight that reaches this plant. And many times you'll find that certain plants will find a certain way of getting the sunshine. And many of them will tend to rise a little bit higher than they should normally if there was no deterrent to the sunlight. I think that, therefore, that likeness can be brought back to the background of a man, that it is more or less like the soil, the conditions that a boy or a child begins with. They are those places of beginning, but not necessarily the definers of their end. So indeed, it might have certain effects that shape how this boy is brought up, how they're going to have it might affect their worldview. Because if a child grows up in a situation where there's a lot of poverty, that might actually affect the way they see money. That might affect the way they actually handle relationships, or even how they dress in the simplest terms.
Yeah.
You understand? If they grow up in a dysfunctional family where parents are not together, that might equally affect how they relate with a future spouse. Nonetheless, this boy has to grow to a place, because these things tend to happen at stages where they do not have the ability to choose. But along the way, even history, or if we look at history, if we look at the scriptures, you find that it is replete with examples of men that have started with hard beginnings and yet rose above them. Not because they sort of denied these backgrounds, but because something along the way might interrupt the script that this background or the conditions they started with would have written. If we go to look at examples of men like, let's say Joseph, that he gets betrayed by his brethren and is sold as a slave. So he begins this journey in Egypt as a slave. But then something along the way happens, and he chooses to serve and live in integrity to the end that at a point in time he's made second in command. You understand? You could also draw from, let's say, Moses, that he begins out as simply the child of whoever that lady is. But then he comes out ultimately to become the man that leads the chosen people of God from Egypt to the promised land. So there is a place where certain things might begin to interfere or interrupt. It might be a choice. It might be a decision someone makes. It might be an encounter with God. And irrespective of what has been at the beginning of this boy's life, they are able to begin to make certain decisions or begin to change the narrative as they, depending on how they began and versus where they want to go. Yeah.
I think I love the idea that it's true that background can shape
Yeah.
to a certain level, but it doesn't define at the end of the day.
Yes.
Which has to be a decision, like someone has to make. Because I'm looking at Moses, and yes, he's raised in the house of Potiphar and all that, but at some point, he has to refuse to be called.
Yes.
Because of what he had seen. That means probably, yes, his background shapes the time he lives up to the time he recognizes that, I'm actually an Israelite.
Yeah.
And that then defines his next life.
Yes.
That's very powerful.
Yes.
Two, you also talked about this plant that people are not seeing, but you talked about the idea of, yes, there's an environment the plant has to grow through, but there's something very critical. You said that someone has to water the plant for it to. So in addition to the environments, it matters who is catering for the plants.
It does.
Do you think that the people we work with as young men have a lot of impact on how we turn out?
Greatly. Greatly. Because I'll take an example of the common parole that show me your friends and I'll tell you your character. Because it is very hard, even when the scripture says that bad company corrupts good morals, it's very hard for a man, a young boy, to work with a gang of people that are potentially given to drugs and not take to drugs. Because there is a way...
It's just a matter of time.
Yes, it's only a matter of time that whatever vice they are engaged in will rub off on him. And he will take to the same vice that he potentially thought he would never engage in. The same thing that if I'm in a household where my father beats my wife, his wife, there are chances that I will grow up imagining that it is actually okay to beat a woman. And so when I grow up and I potentially marry, it's normal and common for me to simply give a few disciplines to my wife just to correct them or whatever. Maybe they've just offended me. So that is critically important, because there's no way two can work together except they agree. There's a place of sort of agreement as you're working together. There are certain things that you will begin to see the same way, you understand? So the people that people hang out with, the people that you're potentially going to go to school with, that is why sometimes certain parents take their children to certain schools. Again, and I put that in quotes because they want to build a certain social capital. That the quality of children they're going to school with will potentially be an influence to the kind of life this man or this young boy will live. So it's in great measure something to consider. Yes.
Amazing. And I think the short conversation we've had so far confirms that, one, your background can influence how you become.
Yes.
The people that you work with can influence how you become. By background there, I mean family and the environment that you grow up through.
Your ethnic extraction.
Yes. And we've seen it so much in how people serve in church, how people work, their workplaces, and many other aspects. Now, this last part that I want us to discuss is, what then is God's redemptive plan? Like, because I don't think these things are a surprise to him. He knew that people would go through certain transitions and so according to you, especially now, like when he speaks through Jeremiah, he says, I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to. And then in Romans 8, he says that all things work together for good.
Yes.
How can we both appreciate the experiences that we grow through, or walk through, that to become what we are, those things that probably influence how we become, but then also the plan of God in us going through those things, so that then we actually become the better versions of ourselves at the end of the day?
It's an interesting point you put on table. You will notice that, and potentially let me begin with one of the statements a man of God once made. He said that God is a master of building beauty out of some of the most broken things. And for me, that struck a chord, because I noticed that there are many men that you could look to who especially had humble beginnings or even broken lives. And God chose them and used them, polished them up. So the young man needs to understand, firstly, that it is God's purpose and plan for them to live a good life, or even actually fulfill the purposes for which they were created. And when he says he has good plans for you, and those are for the prosperity and the future you hope for, he means it. Now, God instructs us in this way, that first of all, it is important to acknowledge, because it's not going to be a place of denial. If you grew up in poverty, you cannot deny that. If you grew up in a dysfunctional family, you cannot deny that, because these are things that happen sometimes without your choosing. You don't even have the agency to choose. But when you accept them and then allow God, because in Christ he has provided that every man that comes to him receives a certain redemption. He is reconciled back to God. So that original plan that God had for them, he connects with it. But there is a place of choice. There is a place of sometimes seeking information. There's a place of choosing to go beyond the confines that this background could have levied on a man, to rise above it. And those are some of the examples that I gave you, that when you look at these great men that we have seen, David is an equal example, that he grows up when he's literally the least of the family. He's in the herds, looking after the sheep.
Okay.
But then God chooses him, and he, by the things that he had to learn over time, he was polished, you understand, to make him the king that God wanted him to be. Because after, in those, we understand that he had to take about 24 years from the time he's anointed to the place he becomes king and sits on the throne. In that time frame, God was churning certain things. He was testing him. He was polishing him. You understand? So men must understand that there's going to be a place of allowing yourself to receive this plan that God has made available to you. It might be from a place of faith. It might be from a place of choosing to take certain decisions or choices that might not be popular, but it is going to come from a place. When I give an example of, I want to give an example of the two brothers, Israel and Esau, Jacob and Esau, that a blessing comes to Israel. I keep calling him Israel, and then his brother is told that he would serve the younger. But then there is a condition that is given, that even him, at a certain point in time, he will be able to break that yoke off of himself and equally be as prosperous. And that is exactly what we saw, that he had certain principles that he effected, so that even though his brother was living under blessing and he prospered, the principles he was able to effect allowed him to rise above that bondage where he was condemned more or less to serve his brother.
Yeah.
I hope that I have answered this question.
Which means that in a way, everything we go through, like I said, is not a surprise to God, but it's going to take someone to receive the intention in that plan for the effects of that plan to actually work in their lives, or like to appreciate the intention of the plan.
Yes.
Because when you, like you said earlier, in the story of Joseph, when you look at Joseph's story, yes, he's sold as a slave and he goes through so much that you would never think, if you were Joseph's friend, that he will amount to anything.
Oh, yes.
So sometimes young boys, I think, for encouragement, it's important to appreciate that life as it is will carry us through certain seasons and it will make us to go through certain things, but those things are making us.
Exactly.
They are making us and like aligning us in the path of how God expects us to turn out. Because you see that everything Joseph went through taught him something in his character.
Yes.
You know, the testations with Potiphar's wife, the things he went through in the prison.
Yes.
The guy's dreams he interpreted and they left him there for a time.
Forgot about him.
I think there are life skills that he learned, very soft skills that he learned in the process.
Yes.
That probably his brothers never had. And if the brother was given the chance to become the next in command in Egypt, they would probably not lead that way.
Yes.
Because they don't carry the background of these experiences.
Yes. Very true.
So maybe for the young man there who is in primary or high school or something, and they are wondering why life is the way it is, they don't see the car, yet they're in Essex. There's a process and a reason why things happen the way they do.
Yes.
And the more you appreciate the process, the more you benefit from life.
Yeah.
The more you get to actually receive of the things that God has intended for your life to become.
Exactly.
Now, in a few words,
yes, sir.
There's a young man there. He has been asking God, why me? Why did I come from this family? Why have I gone through this and that? What parting shots could you give to this young man?
What I could say is, one, the things that you're going through as a young man are not mistakes. They might appear like they're mistakes on the part of your society, your ethnic extraction. But those are very raw materials that God will and actually use to create something outstandingly beautiful out of you. So trust the process. Believe that he that began a good work in you is well able to bring it to accomplishment. Because he did not start you out to kill you. He started you out because he has excellent plans for you. So hold out the faith, appreciate or accept the things that you have gone through, but understand that a time is coming when God will make himself manifest if you so choose to follow him and accept his grand plan for your life. God bless you.
That's amazing. I think just to re-echo something that we talked about the plant, that regardless of whatever environment as a young man is around you, the water, the oxygen, the soil, because you're a seed, please try in this one life to find someone to water you.
Yes.
Find someone to mentor you in different aspects of life, really. It can be anything, but find someone who can, you know, be that scent of water to you so that you can sprout. Even in the days when the tree is cut, it can sprout.
Again.
And I think that's why the Boys Network is here. And that is where we are starting to have these conversations. That you can find a place of mentorship, that you can find a place where you can be skilled. You're given a platform to receive understanding, but also find people who can help you walk the journey so that you become a better young man and you grow into, you know, a man of vision, a man of leadership, a man of valor. Yeah, so really, as a young boy out there watching this, understand that the things you have grown through have been for your sake.
Yeah.
Actually, the Bible tells us that the things that happen to us, like some of those temptations that are seen, are for our advantage. So that the grace of God can redound to us. Because the more life throws things at you, the more grace is given to you for you to maneuver and to become, you know, there's an animal called a hind. It's sort of a deer. So scripture says in Habakkuk 3:19 that he will make your feet as hind's feet. When you study the life of that kind of deer, animal, is that it loves to be in spaces, in hills, rocky places, because its structure, its body is framed that way. So when it doesn't do that, it is at its own disadvantage because it was made to live that kind of life. I get you. It's important for us as men to appreciate the life that God has framed for us.
Hallelujah.
You are equipped to go through certain things. You are equipped to survive them. You are equipped that as you go through that stuff, you become refined and a better man. So don't shy away from challenging issues. Don't shy away from finding the discipline to be mentored. It's not easy sometimes, but it's important for you to become a flourishing plant. And that is why the Boys Network International is here. So we have camps that happen through the year, 3 of them. We had one in January. We have another one coming in August and another in December, I think. So please, if you're a parent and you're there, send your child so that they enjoy such conversations. But also there will be other things that the network will be doing for your children and young men to learn from and to be blessed, you know, to grow with a community that appreciates the boy child. Otherwise, we want to thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. Please, wherever you are, subscribe to our channel. Share this video with a young man out there who is probably, you know, having such questions. And we believe that they'll be blessed and their lives can never remain the same. Till next time, see you. God bless you. Thank you so much. We hope to host you another time.
I will be honored.
With your son.
Sons.
God bless you so much. Until next time.